Welcome to Here's the Deal, your leader in sports, featuring everything you, the fans, want to talk about. From top 10 lists to predictions to debates, it's all covered right here. Hosted by Michael D. White Jr., a.k.a. The Bearded One.
Another week of action, folks. Welcome into Here's the Deal, wherever you may be listening. iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, doesn't matter. I want to thank you guys for coming in for another episode. A lot to get into today. I want to talk a little NFL action right now, and then we'll round it out with a little NBA. But I've been watching football a lot more lately, looking at teams here or there. And is it a foregone conclusion that the Patriots will be in the Super Bowl? And my answer is 95%. It's probably going to be a yes. As I look at the AFC and look at the teams that are currently in the playoff hunt, it'd be the Steelers, Patriots, Bills, and a couple other teams that, honestly, I feel like won't give the Patriots any sort of competition. Now, I think the biggest threat to the Patriots in the AFC as of right now is the Steelers. But for some reason, whenever the Steelers play the Patriots, they can't seem to get it done. Now, I think that Pittsburgh has all the right pieces to beat the Patriots. They have their top five against the run and the pass. They have Le'Veon Bell at running back. They have Antonio Brown. They have Juju Smith-Schuster. They have Martavius Bryant. They have Ben Roethlisberger, who isn't quite the quarterback he was a few years ago. I wouldn't put him in that elite status, but, he's one of these quarterbacks that can get the job done for you, who can win a game for you. They have all the parts that they would need to beat the Patriots. But for some reason, whenever they face the Patriots, they can't do it. Now, we could contribute that to coaching. I don't believe there's a soul on earth who would tell you that Mike Tomlin's a better coach than Bill Belichick. So maybe it's coaching. Maybe it's a psychological thing. Kind of like LeBron in the East. There's a couple teams that I feel like even if their team was somewhat better, Wizards, Raptors, Hawks, they can never seem to beat any team that LeBron is on. That's kind of how I feel about the Steelers when it comes to the Patriots. They just can never seem to find that edge to beat them here as of late. Now, I think the Steelers' best bet is to win out, get home field advantage. Because on the road, the Patriots aren't nearly as good as they are at Gillette Stadium. But I really do think it's a foregone conclusion that the Patriots will be in the Super Bowl. Even with that defense. That defense has played better as of late. And they've been on a sort of a little run here. But I still don't trust it at the end of the day. I trust Belichick, though, and that's what separates it. Usually if you got a bad defense and a bad coach, you're going to lose. I feel like you're going to lose in the playoffs early, no matter what your record was, no matter how many teams you skated by. But when you combine someone like Bill Belichick, defenses don't stay bad that long with him. The Patriots started out on pace to have the worst defense of all time in NFL history this year. And, they've improved over the season because of that quarterback. And then that coach, And then they got that quarterback on the other side who's having another career year at the age of 40 somehow. So kudos out to Tom Brady for that. But here's the deal. I think it's a foregone conclusion because it's any given Sunday in the NFL. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Patriots are there in the end. Segueing it over to the Buffalo Bills, another team in the Patriots division. Was Tyrod Taylor being benched the right move for the Bills right now? And the answer to that, well, first let me give you some of his stats for those of you who haven't been keeping up with Tyrod Taylor. He has 1,684 yards this season, 10 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions. He's completing about 64% of his passes, and the Bills are 5-4 in possession of that last wild card spot. So on the surface, things look good, but I just don't think this was the right time to bench Tyrod Taylor. It's totally not the right time. Look at the Bills' remaining schedule. They're in the toughest part of their schedule. They got the great pass rush from the Chargers coming up. They got Kansas City. They got New England. Then they get a little break with Indianapolis. But then they got another division game with Miami. They play New England again, and they round out the year with Miami. This is not the time to bench your starting quarterback for a rookie quarterback. Now, if they had another quarterback on that roster who had any sort of experience or any tread on his tires at all, then I could understand maybe a benching at this point. But to go to your rookie quarterback right now at this part of your schedule, when you're barely holding on to that last place in the playoffs and you've lost 2 games in a row, it's idiotic. This shows that the Bills front office and that coaching staff still have some work to do. You know, I thought the firing of Rex Ryan, this franchise would be trending in the right direction, and they are, but this move, to me, sets them back. Now, do I think Tyrod's benching was racially motivated? So Tyrod Taylor was quoted saying, "It's always going to be twice as bad because of who I am, an African-American QB." And for me, I agree with that to an extent. It's always going to be twice as hard for African-American QBs to continue to get chances in the NFL if they're not successful at first. And, you know, a lot of people might not believe me, but let's look at some of the people that's been able to keep jobs playing horrible. Ryan Fitzpatrick, McCowan, Brian Hoyer, Brock Osweiler. You know, these are some of the names of people, of white QBs who fit the mold. 6'5", pocket guy, not a lot of running. And for some reason, whenever a black QB comes out of college, the first thing on the scouting report is athletic scrambler. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of these young black quarterbacks, they are athletic and they can scramble. But I feel like they get sold short. Unless you win the Heisman or you win a national championship, it's going to be harder for you to get more chances if you're not successful at first. Blake Bortles is another one, by the way. How is he still quarterback in the NFL? I don't understand. He's been in the league 5 years, and he's been absolutely horrible since he stepped into Jacksonville. And yet they keep giving him chance after chance after chance. And I really don't understand it. But back to the original topic, was it racially motivated? I would say no. You know, a lot of people are vowing that, you know, Tyrod has been great this season. And don't get me wrong, I like Tyrod Taylor. He's from here. He's from my area out here in the 757. But he's only averaging 6.63 yards a pass, and the Bills have the 30th ranked pass offense. So, yes, he's only thrown 3 touchdowns. He's only thrown 3 interceptions, and he has 10 touchdowns on the year. But the Bills, let's be honest, have been reliant on their defense, which has started out the year great, and now they're on a 2-game losing streak. The defense is getting gassed. They're not getting points up on the offensive side of the ball. Tyrod has not turned the ball over a lot. Yes, I agree. But he's also not doing a lot for that offense for them to be ranked 30th out of a possible 32 teams in pass offense. That's horrible. So, my bottom line, here's the deal. While I do believe that white QBs get more opportunities, Bortles, Fitzpatrick, Hoyer, McCown, and chances in the NFL, I don't think this particular benching was racially charged. But this benching is a mistake. And to me, it shows a lack of understanding in the Bills coaching staff. Why would you send in a rookie? His first game is going to be against the Chargers with Joey Bosa up front. You're going to need Tyrod Taylor today. Trust me, it's going to show. It is going to show on the field. You telling me you sending that rookie against Kansas City too? He's going to need to put up points. We don't know nothing about Nathan Peterman. This is nothing against him. This is against the coaching staff. This is not a smart time to bench the guy who's played your first 9 games and has you technically in the playoffs if they were to start today. So that's how I feel about that. Make sure you comment. Let me know what you think about that. I've been seeing a lot of interesting conversation when it comes to that specific topic. But let's shift gears to the NBA. So I don't know if you guys saw, but last week the Philadelphia 76ers played the Los Angeles Lakers, a battle of two of the youngest teams in the league. I don't want to more so talk about the game so much. You know, it was a close game to the end. Sixers pulled away. Monster night for Joel Embiid. Had his career high. I believe he had 46 points, 7 blocks, 15 rebounds. That was great. It was a great game for me to watch. Let's talk about the Sixers for a little bit. I'm going to be honest. The Sixers look really good if they can stay healthy. They had a game last night against the Warriors where they were up by 20 at one point. Now, the Warriors came back and won as they should have. But this Ben Simmons kid, I'll be the first to admit I was wrong about. You know, I was talking to one of my homeboys. He told me Ben Simmons was going to be Rookie of the Year at the beginning of the season. And I told him I didn't agree because I was worried that he couldn't shoot at all, and I didn't know what to expect from him in the NBA. But it seems like that redshirt year he had last year where the Sixers sat him out really helped. Because he looks like a polished vet. The way he attacks the paint, dishes the ball, he rebounds. And one thing I really like about him, he knows he can't shoot, and he doesn't. If an easy little runner or bank isn't there, he finds the open man. Ben Simmons will win Rookie of the Year easily. And then shifting gears to Joel Embiid, if that guy can stay healthy, he could easily become the best big man in the league. Better than DeMarcus Cousins because he has better footwork than him. He's a more polished scorer in my opinion. On the defensive end, he could be just as dominant. They've got guys like Covington on that roster who can defend, who can knock down shots. Now, I don't know what happened to Markelle Fultz. Maybe they're doing what they did with Simmons. They're sitting him out a year, letting him become stronger, etc. But this is a team that I feel like in the Eastern Conference will be there for a long time, barring injury. Them and the Celtics have a bright future looking ahead. And now when I look at the Lakers side of the view, Lonzo Ball still not shooting well. Still having shooting woes. Now we see the potential. The potential is definitely there. You know, that team whole culture has shifted. I've watched every Laker game this year. That whole culture has shifted. They've moved the ball. Kuzma has been the absolute steal of the draft. I don't care what you say, that it was the steal of the draft. Just dropped his career high the other night with 30 points. But the Lakers still have some work to do. They still need a rim protector, in my opinion. They're getting killed inside. They can't stop anybody inside. I watched Julius Randle try to guard Joel Embiid for about 5 straight possessions. And on 5 straight possessions, either Joel Embiid scored or he was at the free throw line, which was horrible. Honestly, I think the Lakers should try to go after DeMarcus Cousins if he ends up being a free agent this offseason, because he's set to become one. I think they need a rim protector. They need someone there. Now, don't get me wrong. Lopez, No, let me not say that. Lopez is a bum when it comes to defense. Let's just say it. Let's just get it out there. He's a scrub. He can't guard nobody on the defensive end. He might get a couple weak side blocks here and there because he's 7 foot. That's what he should do. But he cannot guard a soul. He can score. But Jesus, him playing defense on anybody is horrible. Julius Randle was too small for Embiid. I got it. And look, I understand. This was Embiid's career high, blah, 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 blah. But just the first game of the year when the Lakers played the Clippers, Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan dominated. No rim protection. So those are some things I think the Lakers need to work on. Staying in the NBA, I want to talk about those Celtics. You know, they were down big against the Warriors, the reigning champs. And they just played defense, and they continued to play and to fight, and they came back and they won that game. The Celtics look really good, and I think teams like the Cavs and teams like Toronto and the Wizards should really be paying attention to what this team is doing. Because it starts on the defensive end of the floor. Jaylen Brown has made leaps from where he was last year to right now. This kid looks great. He couldn't hit a shot to save his life last year. Now he's shooting over 40% from three-point land. He's playing defense. He's hustling. He's getting blocks. Marcus Smart off the bench playing defense, getting rebounds, doing all the little things that's going to help a team win a championship. And that's what Marcus Smart provides you with. Jason Tatum looks like he's been in the league 6 years. He didn't do much against the Warriors, but, you know, this dude has been lights out from three. He's able to attack the basket. He plays defense. The Celtics, hear me out. The Celtics remind me of the San Antonio Spurs, and I'm going to tell you why. Don't freak out. Don't trip. I'm just going to tell you why. Think about it. The Celtics are a defensive team first. Don't let them having Kyrie Irving fool you. They are a defensive team first. They are the number one defensive team in the league. So that's where they pride themselves, on the defensive side of the ball. Spurs, they pride themselves on the defensive side of the ball. Yes, Kawhi Leonard and Kyrie Irving can get it done offensively on their own, off the dribble, doesn't matter. But where these teams beat you is on the defensive side of the ball. Both teams have a great coach, Greg Popovich, Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens is on the rise. Brad Stevens is arguably top 3 coach in the league right now, at this second. He runs a system that has all those Celtics players buying in on the defensive end of the floor first. Because that's where it happens. You get stops, you get out in transition, you run, and you get easy buckets. And then on offense, you got to look at little things. Yes, we know Kyrie Irving can ISO and dribble with the best of them and score at any time he wants. We know Kawhi Leonard, whose offensive game has skyrocketed since he's entered the league, can do it whenever he wants. But it's just the little things that you got to pay attention to. Think about it. Back in that Warriors game, they had a out-of-bounds play on their own baseline, the Celtics. Boom, simple backdoor cut. Kyrie cuts towards the basket. He gets the ball, gets the layup, and 1. 3 the easy way. Little things like that, little inbounds plays. What your coach calls coming out of a timeout can go a long way. That's why these Celtics remind me of the Spurs. Yes, they both have a guy who can dominate you offensively, but that's not their game. That's not their game plan. Their game plan is to move the ball, get good open shots, get good lanes to the basketball, move the ball, and score. And then if they do need to rely on that ISO player at times, they can. But that's not their main thing. So that's why the Celtics remind me of a Spurs team. I got nothing but kudos for Brad Stevens, who will win Coach of the Year. I'm calling it now. Kudos for him and the game plan he's put together for these young men without Gordon Hayward, who was supposed to be one of their best players, probably their second best player on that team. kudos for him putting that together. Because the Celtics, who just beat the Hawks last night, who are on that 14-game win streak, best record in the league, the Celtics look really good, and I think they're a team that people should watch out for later. Now, in the playoffs are a little bit different. We'll start to see if that age starts to show with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. We'll see if that age starts to show. You know, rookies mess up in the playoffs. It happens all the time. But as of right now, I don't see why they're not the favorite. You know, until the Cavs get Isaiah Thomas back and we see what they look like, they're not the favorite in the East. They're not. They'd be second for me. Right now, the Celtics are the number 1 team in the East. And I think teams in the East and the West, as the Warriors saw, should notice that. They've been put on notice. Once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to another episode of Here's the Deal. Wherever you may be listening, iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook, doesn't matter. Can't do it without you, the fans, listening, so I appreciate it. Everybody have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to Here's the Deal. Tune in for next week's episode. And don't forget to add your host, Michael D. White Jr. on Facebook, Instagram, and the podcast YouTube channel, Here's the Deal.